Right, they want to find out if people are actually there, if they're real employees at the other end of the email. With us now is political analyst and author Rich Rubino. Rich, good morning. You know, we heard a lot about confusion over the last email. Does this new one clear things up? And is the story beyond the email, is the story the reaction that a lot of people are having to the email? I'm curious to hear what you think about that.
Yeah, I think so, and I think this is a lot more explicit. There were some department agencies in the past that had told the employees not necessarily to comply, or that it's their choice to reply. This one is a lot more explicit. It states that they do need to comply. Obviously, there's a lot of pushback or a lot of blowback, if you will, and on the part of some federal employees, and you're also seeing that on the part of some constituents to United States House members and United States senators. You saw even Roger Marshall, who represents Kansas in a district in a county that went 80% for him, and for Roger Marshall when he ran for election in 2020, ran for about 83% for Donald Trump last time around. You see a lot of pushback from a lot of people, a lot of federal employees, and a lot of people who believe that this is going to hurt veterans, for example. So I think that there are some that may believe that this is a little bit of an overreach, at least when it comes to optics.
Yeah. Well, we know when President Clinton released a lot of federal employees, I think it was over 300,000, did not get the same response. Now there's another conversation with Elon Musk over the weekend telling Joe Rogan that a lot of the corruption that he is finding is so deep in terms of how politicians are acquiring wealth. He says it is much more than insider trading. Elon says exposing this could also get him killed. Are you hearing more about anything that he's talking about, what he is so concerned about, and what level of corruption he is actually finding?
We don't know. We haven't really seen the death threats, so we don't really know that. But I think it's interesting you brought up President Clinton, because in 1993, President Clinton instituted the Partnership for Reinventing Government and had Al Gore basically superintend it, and they cut employees to the lowest points. And John F. Kennedy was president. Bill Clinton used that certainly in 1996 when he ran for re-election, talking about reinventing government as a Democrat, and it actually very much benefited him politically. It made him look a lot more. It made him appear very centrist, for example. But back in the 1990s, there was very little actual opposition to Bill Clinton's plan. If you go back in history, Franklin Roosevelt had the Barlow Plan, the Grace Commission under President Reagan. This is not necessarily the first time that we've had these commissions, but it's kind of interesting that the reinventing government under Bill Clinton, which by most accounts was relatively successful, has kind of been thrown under the wayside, and you really don't hear about it as much contemporaneously.
Yeah, well, so maybe that means Elon Musk is alluding to an ulterior motive behind so much vocal pushback. We'll have to continue to watch it and see what happens and see what else gets exposed. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Joe?
You're watching Dr. Phil's Married